Pakistan. Anger in the streets. President Pervez Musharraf, a dictator caught in a vice between radical Islam and political reform. Is he an ally of the US and Britain in the war on terror, or an opportunist who is buying peace from terrorists?
We uncover stories never heard, images never seen.
Streets of Baghdad. On CNN, gang members are driving down this street.
Then walked up.
Deadly rips.
You can hear and see the choppers.
Now, Nick Robertson. Pakistan, the threat within.
London, July 7th, 2005.
Stop moving away from the area, please.
The country is in shock. It's the deadliest attack on British soil since World War II. 4 British-born suicide bombers kill 52 commuters. 3 of the attackers are of Pakistani descent. 22-year-old Shehzad Tanweer is one of them. Born in the UK, Tanweer's family lived in Leeds, a sprawling city in the north of England. His father ran a popular fish and chip shop not far from their home. At school, Tanweer made a name for himself as an outstanding sportsman, excelling in cricket and soccer. So how could a seemingly normal boy with good parents become a suicide bomber? Just a few months before the bombings, this security photograph was taken at a Pakistani airport. So Pakistan is where I begin. One of the places Tanweer visited when he came back, according to intelligence sources, was this madrasa, religious school. Although inside, officials deny he was here.
You are directly responsible for the problems in Palestine and Afghanistan and Iraq to this day.
A year after the London bombings, Al-Qaeda released Tanweer's suicide message. On it, Al-Qaeda's number 2, Ayman al-Zawahiri, reveals that after going to a madrasa, Tanweer visited one of their camps, was trained in explosives, tutored in terror, and then sent back to Britain to complete the mission. The implication is clear. Al-Qaeda is alive, well, and recruiting in Pakistan's religious schools.
Shehzad Tanweer, may Allah have mercy upon him, was diligent in night prayers and infatuated with the Quran and would recite it often.
My next stop, a secret location. I can't tell you where in order to protect my source. I've come to meet a man who used to live in Pakistan. He tells me he used to spy on Al-Qaeda, but was ratted out. He fears for his life so much now, I can't even tell you which country I'm in, never mind which city. What he tells me contradicts Pakistan's stated policy to hunt down Al-Qaeda. He says that back in 2006, Al-Qaeda's number 2, Ayman al-Zawahiri, was informed ahead of time of a US plan to assassinate him. Did Ayman al-Zawahiri know this attack was coming? Had he been tipped off?
Yes.
He'd been tipped off?
Yes.
Who tipped him off?
ISI.
Pakistani intelligence tipped off Ayman al-Zawahiri.
Because I've told you that they're playing a double game.
That's incredible. A double game that also allowed Tanweer to train in Pakistan for the London bombings. I returned to Pakistan, to a village where Tanweer's parents came from. Hello, salam alaikum. Is there Mr. Tanweer here? A woman answers. For a few moments, it looks like she might talk.
Can you give our son back?
She is angry. She seems to blame us for Tanweer's death. He came here before the attack, and I'm just trying to learn something. Next, I crossed the street to the mosque where Tanweer prayed. After the London bombings, villagers held prayers here in his honor. I asked if they knew Tanweer was plotting the suicide attack. Why, when he came back, didn't people here try to talk him out of it? They all deny meeting him. or going to his memorial service. After the interview, I found out that somebody was at the back of the crowd saying, "Are we fools? Would we tell them anything?" And then I've discovered that many of the people here, although they denied it, attended Tanweer's funeral prayers. I've also learned that they've told Pakistani reporters they support his attack. That attitude is a shocking discovery. Pakistan and its president, General Pervez Musharraf, are supposed to be one of the United States' closest allies in the global war on terror. Musharraf, a military dictator, took power in a bloodless coup in 1999. Despite backing al-Qaeda's allies, the Taliban in Afghanistan, he was one of the first people President Bush turned to after 9/11.
President Musharraf made a bold decision for his people and for peace after September the 11th, when Pakistan chose to fight the terrorists.
When the US invaded Afghanistan, many in al-Qaeda and the Taliban fled across the border into Pakistan. But now Musharraf claims the US bullied him into joining the war on terror, leaving no doubt what his country risked if he refused to cooperate.
That we will be prepared to go back to Stone Age.
With billions of US dollars as an incentive, Musharraf's army has captured some al-Qaeda leaders in Pakistan. Yet Western intelligence agencies tell us that Osama bin Laden and his deputy, Ayman al-Zawahiri, are still inside Pakistan, or at the very least, slipping in and out. As I follow Shahzad Tanweer's trail, those claims seem to be confirmed. That's where al-Qaeda recruited him, in a Pakistani madrasa. When we come back, inside the madrasas, religious schools or incubators of hate. It's late at night in Lahore, Pakistan. Children, some as young as 5 years old, are memorizing the Quran. I've come to this madrasa, a religious school, because suicide bomber Shahzad Tanweer reportedly stayed here shortly before the London bombings, known as 7/7. Madrasas like this one can help us better understand what turned some young men like Tanweer into killers. These children begin their studies at about 6 o'clock in the morning. They get a break for breakfast around 8 a.m. Then they go back to their books. They get a break for lunch. Then studying again all afternoon, a long break in the early evening, and then back to their books again. There are thousands of madrasas like this one in Pakistan, and hundreds of thousands of children attend them. That worries former Pakistani police officer Hassan Abbas.
According to all accounts, about 10 to 15% of madrasas in Pakistan are involved in militancy, support of Taliban, in terrorism, religious extremism.
Abbas, a fellow at Harvard University and an expert on madrasas, has no doubt some turn students into terrorists.
Hatred for minorities, hatred for all things un-Islamic is being entrenched, being pumped into the minds of the kids every other day.
They live here.
This man, Maulana Abdul Rashid Ghazi, runs some of the largest madrasas in Pakistan. And not just for boys, for girls too. He met Osama bin Laden years ago in Afghanistan and says his beliefs are ideologically close to the world's most wanted terrorist.
If they are coming here,
Ghazi preaches that jihad, war with oneself and against Islam's enemies, is a basic tenet of the Quran.
We have been asked by the government many times that you should stop teaching the chapter of jihad. So we tell them that we can't stop it because we cannot make any amendment in Islam.
For decades, Pakistan's madrasas have been teaching Islamic holy warriors. Ghazi tells his students that America's war on terror is a campaign against all Muslims.
If you talk about Afghanistan, yes, we say that American army can be attacked in Afghanistan and in Iraq